It's the Songwriters Lounge with me, Andy, and my buddy Tom.
Heyo,
Heyo. We're back for episode... What are we on now? I'm losing count. Episode 12.
Mate. 12.
Oh, mate, not long to go before we hit that 15 end of season 1 milestone.
Exactly. But
It's coming in fast.
Season 2 sounds fun. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to go up to episode 15, season 1, and then we're going to just give you guys a good old Christmas break without your pals Andy and Tom. and then we'll be back next year with season 2, and we're going to squeeze some guest appearances in.
Yeah.
And just keep listening to good music and chatting about songwriting. So
we're going to
I'm excited already.
Get some people that can really like dissect their songwriting journey, like from start to finish, and like some people that have really kind of established themselves, and hopefully they can share some of their story and share some tips and tricks, and yeah, hopefully it'll be really, really cool. So I'm excited about what that will bring. But yeah, we'll dive off in a few weeks' time and let Santa take over and hopefully cheer you up after the abysmal 2020.
Yeah,
it's been a shocker.
It's not been a fun year for anyone.
It's been an absolute shocker. So yeah, I mean, I said in about May time, why don't we just put up a Christmas tree and just call it a fucking year, because it's just so shit.
Oh mate, we put one up 2 weeks ago. And
did you already?
Mate, I just sick it. The Christmas tree in our house like brings us so much joy that we're like,
good. Yeah,
we've got to get this up because we've got to forget about this year and move on to next.
I feel like people have done that this year. They've like definitely made a deliberate attempt to start Christmas earlier so that they would get that like Christmas joy, because it has been so glum. Yeah, it's a good idea.
People, I will say that being in America, people have given us some shit here for it because they obviously celebrate Thanksgiving at the end of the month. So they're like, you can't put it up before Thanksgiving. And we're like, well, it's fun. Like, let us have something. We can't do anything else this year. Oh, that's mate.
True. And both of which are big, like, turkey feasts, aren't they? Because you have...
Massive.
You have a big... Yeah. So you have a big, like, same kind of Christmas dinner at Thanksgiving, don't you?
Yeah, but we kind of throw turkey in at Christmas. Thanksgiving is the main turkey feast here. And it's delicious. Like the meals here are great. So yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be a little light at the end of the tunnel, right? Get myself fat for the Christmas season, and then get back outside and start running again.
Yeah, because obviously I'm not fat enough after doing nothing during lockdown. So,
oh mate, well I've got like a little tip for you this week, and I hope that you guys listening are also going to take this on board. Go to your Amazon Prime. If you don't have Amazon Prime, you can sign up free for like 7 days or whatever it is. Watch the documentary It's All About a Song, because it's all about the best Nashville songwriters. And it's just amazing. Like, it's all about the journey of being a songwriter in Nashville, and it interviews some of the best songwriters there. And you've got names that you definitely would have heard, like Casey Musgraves, who started as a songwriter there. A bunch more people that I'm forgetting the names. And you got the people that are more underground, the songwriters. Right. And they go to the same place every single day and write songs with people. And it's amazing to watch. So do that. It's called It's All About a Song. It just inspired me for an hour and a half. Just absolutely inspired me.
I'm buzzing for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and one bit of advice I took away from, maybe you're struggling from writer's block, but this guy came on the documentary. If you watch the documentary, you'll know what I'm talking about. He said, if you're struggling with a song or writing a song and you just can't come up with the words, write the song as a letter to someone. And don't think about rhyming, don't think about anything, just write it as a letter. And he was like, I promise you there'll be a song in there. It's all about what you make of it. So I thought, wow, that's good advice. And I tested that and it worked. So
there we go.
I love that. And
success. Yeah.
So yeah, go watch that, guys. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Catch up with us. You know, we're nice guys, I think.
Say hello. Well, you're a nice guy. I'm an arsehole, but Tom's here for you.
Well,
he's a good guy.
What can I say? He's right.
No, I'm a good guy, really. But yeah, that sounds good. I'll definitely be checking that out. I checked out there's a podcast that I listen to aside of ours, of course, called Song Exploder. Have you ever checked that out?
No, is it good?
No, so it's a really cool like show where they like explode a song, and they've just started a Netflix series. So that's really cool. Like where they've got Alicia Keys, and it's a full like hour breakdown of how she wrote her latest song, and yeah, it was really good. They also did one on Lin-Manuel. Is that his name? Lin-Manuel.
Lin-Manuel. Yeah, I can't remember his last name, but
yeah.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah, and he obviously talks about one of the songs from the amazing musical, which is Hamilton, and proper breaks that down, and you see like,
I'd love to watch that.
Oh, it's really good.
What's it
highly
called?
recommend that. It's called Song Exploder.
I'm gonna look out for that because
Lin-Manuel.
He also wrote exactly. Yeah, we need to work.
We're not sponsored by these guys. We just want to spread what we've both been watching, and yeah, check it out.
Well, you know that Lin-Manuel Miranda also wrote the Moana soundtrack, which is pretty cool.
You can definitely hear it. You can definitely.
Yeah, you can, especially in You're Welcome.
Yeah,
I could go in like the little rap.
It's this classic kind of sound, isn't it? Yeah, it's very him. Cool.
Definitely.
So shall we go into some of our artist spotlights? So we've got an exciting first track from a band called Transviolet, and this is their song, Tropics.
Hey, this is Sarah from Transviolet, and this is our new song, Tropics.
That girl got her grind, counts her dollars like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey there, baby face, wanna go someplace anywhere you like. All she wanna do is get high and make money, live the good life, vacate in the tropics. Pocket so fat 'cause she know how to hustle. Go so stacked, make a straight go under. All she wanna do is smoke weed and get famous. Take a day trip, wake up in Paris. Take a drink, sip champagne and champagne. Take your girlfriend, show her a few things. Get down, girl, go get down. Get down, girl, go get down.
That was so cool. That was like Super Mario meets like hip hop and pop.
Yeah, isn't it?
So good.
I want to start by saying if you can use the word vacay seriously in a chorus, then you're onto a winner. And no one cares about it.
I couldn't pull it off.
Me neither. I would sound like a prick if I put the word vacay
But
or
she
anything
sounded
like that.
really cool.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Out there.
I loved it. I really liked the kind of the air on the vocal the whole way through.
Yeah.
Even the vocal samples had so much air and brightness to them. Loved it. And great verb on the vocal. And I really enjoy just the natural kind of timbre and just the natural tone of Sarah's vocal. I believe it's Sarah, the lead singer. And I think the band have done an amazing job with the arrangement because there's so many little kind of synth samples and pops and all over the kind of stereo field. There's stuff like kind of attacking from everywhere,
Effects overload.
Yeah, but I mean, it worked. Like you said, it was like almost listen to like kind of like 8-bit pop. I loved it, and I like it that they've accented certain words. They say a lot of place names like Paris, Berlin, and then they had the Tropics word in there. That's obviously the title of the song, and they've accented them so well, which I really, really enjoyed. And I don't usually listen to this kind of music, but I loved this song. Listened to it a few times. Add it to our Spotify playlist, guys. Check that out. Artist Spotlight Spotify playlist. Links will be down below or in the description. And I really had to kind of scratch my head on what I would have done to add to this session if I was part of the band or in the production booth. Or I think the only thing I would have done is I'd have loved some kind of palm muted arpeggio kind of guitar in the pre-chorus and chorus, almost like, you know how like Titanium is the dun 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 dun. I just added something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then maybe just some lead guitar bends way up the neck and way in the background, kind of like they've sampled in those vocal ad libs and the synth, kind of like dazzling synth.
Yeah.
I just added some like really up high on the neck. But I mean, that's it. I mean, really, really enjoyed the song, and really great band. Like really great band. The arrangement, I can't say enough how hard and long that arrangement would have taken. Oof. Awesome job. Really enjoyed it.
It was very, very heavy on the sound design. Like, really heavy. But, I mean, in a good way. Like, there was lots going on. It's funny because it was kind of like our song last week, which was quite heavy sound design-wise as well, by, I think it was Lena Cooper.
Yes.
And that, you know, this is a similar thing where they've just got so much going on. They've got reverb delays coming in at the end of vocal phrases to just draw out the tail of the vocal. You've got transition and like glitch effects in there. You've got vocal chops in the intro. You've got vocal Q&A effects in the verse. So it's like formatted vocals of, you know, I think it was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 section. There's so much going on, and it's just like they're just completely pushing you to continually be like drawn to something else and keep that excitement, keep the listener, you know, involved in the song. So that was really well done. And there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of clever production in there. You know, none of that is easy to just drop in a session. You've got to automate a lot of that manually. You've got to really think about what effects you're putting in there, what reverbs you're using. It's quite difficult stuff, that. So respect, you know, they've done a good job there.
I noticed that there was some really tasty saturation on the reverb tails. And again, I don't know if they automated that in, but just lovely. It might not even be saturation, it might be compression. But there's something in that reverb tail.
I think what happened at the end of some of the phrases is, it was either like ducked with a compressor, or it was like either a dynamic EQ, or maybe it was just automated, but it would come in like so nicely at the end of the phrase and really just like make the end of the phrase, that last word, just like soar for like another, 3-4 seconds.
They've opened that high end up as well on everything, which I love.
Yeah, I loved that. And I really liked the kind of overall soundscapey kind of vibe of the song, especially at the start, of course. And the vocal is saturated to the mass. It is so, so rich. I really just loved the kind of pop style that she had. I loved her like delivery of the vocal. So like stylistically, she had that real kind of edge to the way she sang, which is, that's what separates some artists from being good and great, is that kind of distinction between like the words you say and how you say it and how you perform. And she's got that down there, and I really liked the kind of slight huskiness in her voice and that low end. She had that, I don't know if it's like, again, just like that natural timbre coming through, or if they added a wee bit of distortion, but whatever happened there, I really liked it. And in the end of this track, there's like a vocal feature, so there's someone else that comes in on it, and there's a really good back and forth between those vocals, and they sit really well together. Like, it doesn't seem like someone else has came in the track and doesn't belong there. Like, it didn't feel out of place, so that was really well mixed as well to make them belong in the song together. And I really liked, I want to pay particular attention to the synth stab, because this synth stab was like really kind of warm and bright, but mostly in the mid-range, so it wasn't absolutely killing your ears with that like high, intense brightness. and it had a really nice kind of saturation and nice fuzz to it, and it was like quite a prominent part of the mix and quite a fundamental part of the instrumentation. So I just wanted to say that was quite an out there choice of an instrument. Like, it's very unique, very not common to be so exposed, but it really worked for me. I really, really liked it. Like, and again, like, this track for me is trying to be nothing but unique. I don't think they're copying anyone I know of. It certainly is nothing that I've listened to recently. So they're doing something right in terms of their kind of pushing boundaries, you know, both kind of sound design wise and, you know, stylistically. And I really liked the track overall. I think the only thing I would say is if I was in the studio with them, or I was doing my little bit on the sound design and trying to take it, just put my spin on it, I'd have loved the kick to have been more to do more work in the chorus, to really add like some rhythmical punch. So like the kick was obviously there in the chorus, but instead of like, it had quite large gaps in between the kicks and the hits. I'd love it for it to have had more of a kind of like just more kind of rhythmical feature, just to drive again a bit more of a bop feel to it, a bit more of a dance feel to it, because that's what I naturally wanted to do when I was listening to it, is to kind of start to bop my head and whatnot. But I just needed that kick to be kind of helping me along that journey a wee bit. But
sure,
really, really cool track and a great one to kick the show off with.
It was, and you said about the guest feature on it is, please forgive me if I'm saying this name wrong, Rio Cragen will say is the guest feature.
I'll believe you.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Really enjoyed it, guys.
Yeah,
thank you.
Really good, really good. Smashing. On to the next one.
Hey, this is Shayla McDaniel, and you're listening to my song, Worth Living.
I wanna see all of your hair, crown your head and silver. I wanna see it all fall out, but I need you around. Please don't believe the lies lodged inside out. You're mine. Your life is worth living. Please don't leave me. I want you to go to the store and flash us in
Yeah.
the day.
I
Lovely.
like that.
Lovely.
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 Lovely, jubbly.
I love Shayla's voice. Honestly, Shayla, you could sing anything to me and I'd love it. You could.
I love Shayla's name.
I love Shayla's name too. I just love
What a name.
Shayla.
Shayla. We just love you, Shayla.
What a lovely song. And as I was listening to it again, I thought this would be amazing if Coldplay covered it. It's got kind of that Coldplay kind of feel. I love
does.
Coldplay.
Yeah, it does.
And the vocal melody is awesome. Very nice, very easy to listen to, which I only mean that in every sense of the compliment. And I think Shayla's actually all the instrumentation, vocals, all her. So not only a talented singer, songwriter, also multi-instrumentalist,
Wow.
and a good one as well. So that is seriously impressive. We're all trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, you must as a drummer. I've listened to those. I mean, I was quite impressed by the drums. Certainly, like, phew.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to play drums for Shayla live, do some harmonies in the background, you know. But yeah, the lyrics are beautiful as well. And again, Andy's a lyric guy, but I just wanted to say that the meaning behind the song is incredible. And I went to Shayla's Bandcamp, I believe it is, just to kind of read the lyrics in full. And what an amazing thing that Shayla's done, because she wrote this song as a direct message to anyone struggling with mental health or even thinking about suicide. And I wanted to take this moment from us, Andy and I, to just acknowledge and thank Shayla for the song. And if you're listening to this and struggling with any of these feelings, no matter what feeling, if you're struggling, Andy and I are here for you. We love you, and if you need anything at all, we will always take the time to make ourselves available to talk. And I mean that personally. I'm sure Andy will as well. Like, I'm always here to talk. I promise that you're not a burden on anyone, and the world is a better place with you in it. And I'm always looking for new friends. So please reach out if you're feeling any of these, and I'm sure Shayla will say the exact same thing. But back to the song. Love the guitar tone. As you said, love the drums. I love the drum rhythm and beat that Shayla's chosen to go in everything. Move into the toms in the verse. It's just like it's a drummer's instinct, which is awesome. And everything kind of weaved up perfectly for me in terms of the songwriting, the structure, the arrangement, the instruments involved. And this is one of those songs that I would have loved to have been in the room and written with Shayla.
Yeah.
Just one of those ones, I just think I could have added something personally. And for me, being the drummer, I would have loved to have taken this to a studio and actually recorded the drums and mixed the drums myself. Because I just felt that snare needed to be a little bit deeper and just bring that warmth out of the snare and the toms more. Just because the song is so deep and so rich and so beautiful that I think the drums needed to impact that as well. And I wouldn't change anything about the rhythm or anything. Mm-hmm. Just a couple of performance notes, which you get when you use samples. You can't avoid it. So that's for me. I'd have loved to have just drummed in the studio and been in the session and I just really enjoyed the song, especially when I read the lyrics. Like, it just adds a whole new meaning. So
yeah.
I'll let Andy have his little say now.
Do you think the drums were sampled, or do you think it was acoustic recorded? Samples?
I think so.
See, I'm not sure, but I mean, could be either. Yeah, this is the thing these days, you can get quite close with samples. I mean, I only use samples. I know it's cheating a bit, guys, right? But I can't afford one to get a drummer every time I make music, and well, I can't play drums myself, so there's no hope there. So yeah, but like for me, it's the drums. They sounded great, and I really liked how much of a prominent feature they were as a driving force in this song and in this message, and given that real, like Tom said, that real kind of body, and low, that kind of depth to the track. The way that the drums and this kind of moving bass line together worked in tandem, I love that. I always love when you've got drums and bass that just work together. I think they are like the unsung heroes of any band when you get, I mean, they're always okay, they're never really at the forefront of any live act you see, but they are like the foundation. They are where the band starts. And I thought they were working really well for me in this track. I liked the fact that the guitars sat kind of back a wee bit and just did what they were there to do. Just decorated. They didn't try and do anything too complex. They didn't try and get in your face too much. They were just sitting there, tickling away, decorating the stereo field.
Absolutely.
Just the way I like it.
But the lead lines during the vocal pauses were particularly nice.
Yeah,
I love when artists and songwriters do that.
They were kind of arpeggiated at times, like
yeah, that's it.
I love that.
Through the pauses in the melody and the vocal. I love it when people do that.
Totally. Now, we get on to the voice. I mean, that voice, beautiful. Really
Lovely.
solid vocal performance, Shayla. So I love your name, I love your voice, and it's, your voice was well produced on this track, joking aside. You know, it's got that really nice roundedness to it. The only thing I would say is I love vocal air on a track, but for me it had way too much. Just to the point that I was a bit distracted by it. Just around about the low end of the air, so around the kind of 10 to 12 kilohertz region. So if that was ducked a wee bit, that would have been like icing on the cake for me. So just a bit too bright for me. But I loved the overall timbre that she had. Really, really nice. And yeah, the lyrics, what a song. Powerful wordsmanship. You know, the lines like, please don't believe the lies lodged inside of your mind. My God, very direct lyrics and powerful stuff. And, you know, your life is worth living. Please don't leave me behind. You know, a kind of reaching out, you know, support. And it's, hopefully it will, you know, provide a lot of comfort to people who need to hear those lyrics. And, what Tom said is absolutely true. You know, no one should feel alone. It's always the people that hide it that are probably just like you, even though you'll look at them and think, why can't I be normal like them, etc. You know, we're all in this world going through all the same problems, and we're all a massive family at the end of the day. And music, I think, is the perfect vehicle to allow people like Shayla, through music, to extend that kind of warmth and that love beyond, you know, just the realms of her and her piano or whatever she wrote it from. It's I love it when music does this kind of thing. I really enjoyed this track overall. Just for me, from a critical stance, the mix was overall just a bit too bright. So that's, you know, I've already said the vocal air, but the hats as well were a wee bit too bright for me, and the drums. So just overall, a bit less of that brightness would have made the mix a bit more overall sonically balanced for me, and I would have just, you know, it would have just topped it off for me. But really, really nice. And again, like another one that we've had on the show with real kind of deep meaning behind it, you know, stuff that we can really get our teeth into emotionally. And for that, just thanks for sharing it, Shayla. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll go on to our final track of the show, and this is from Aleya.
Hey, this is Aleya from Manchester, and you're listening to my song Sometimes on the Songwriters Lounge podcast. I really hope you like it.
Sometimes you just love me like a drug. Sometimes I get caught up in your trip. Sometimes you get tough, thinking I'm the god. Sometimes I get caught up in your trip. Sometimes you and me together forever we love. A fantasy, that's what our dreams made of. I hold you close and it feels like paradise. In the end, you push me to the side. Your love is what I want, yeah. True love is what I need, yeah. You want her attention as well as mine. Sometimes you just love me like a drug. Sometimes I get caught up in your trip. Sometimes you get tough, thinking I'm the god. Sometimes I get caught up in your trip. You and her together forever.
Yes, that track is for me. That is my kind of track, Tom. Yes.
That is I would love to do a drum remix of that song. There's so many like places where you just want to like
just go for
Yeah,
it.
just like
drum and
just-
bass it.
just have a crazy good time. First thing I'll say is that track is mixed and mastered extremely well. You hear how everything's just in your face and just that screams to me a good master, but you can't get a good master without a good mix. So whoever produced it, done a fantastic job. The vocals are awesome. So much air on that lead vocal. Air has been the theme, I feel, of this episode so far. Vocal air has been just spot on for me. And the vocal doubling, very, very good. Everything's doubled, super tight, exactly what you want in a pop track. Possibly the poppiest chorus we've had on the show.
Yeah, like that's what I loved about this track is the instant kind of pop feel and instant kind of you just go, yes, I like this. Like it's just, it triggers that initial, I like it. It's good.
Exactly. There's like two or three. Yeah, you're spot on. I was just about to say, there's like 2 or 3 hooks in that chorus. Again, like we spoke about a few weeks ago with the song title question, this song is titled Sometimes. The word sometimes comes up in that chorus. Sometimes I do. It's just right there.
Yeah.
Really cool. There's a really nice high-pitched synth that comes in the chorus behind everything, which just subtly tells the audience this is now the chorus without, obviously you've got the great hook, you've got everything else.
Yeah.
Throw it out left and right just to build on that chorus so it really does just pop at you. Really nicely done, really cleverly arranged track. There's not much else to say other than that, really. Just what a great song, great pop song.
Tune.
Yeah, tune. The only thing I would have maybe added if I was there as a producer, I was just losing those vocals in the chorus at times. And I don't know if that's a volume thing or if I would have just put a compressor on the vocal bus. Something like the Arvox. I don't know if you've used the Arvox by Waves. Awesome indeed. Vocal compressor, sorry. Well, maybe just compress that on the vocal bus. Maybe that's all it needed. Maybe it just needed a little bit of EQ leveling. I don't know if it was a volume problem, but it was just times where I was just losing it a touch. But
I think
again,
it was. I think maybe a couple of dB on there definitely would have helped us. Yeah, I agree.
But I really enjoyed the track. Again, it's not a genre that I know an awful lot about.
Yeah.
But I love it. Whenever I hear a good song, I'm always like, well, this is a bloody good song. Enjoyed it massively.
So I'm gonna be harsh, right? But it's because I genuinely really like this track, and this is probably from producing where I spend most of my time, and I'll just dive like straight into it, and I don't want to rip it to shreds because it absolutely doesn't deserve that. But I think I just want to give my opinion because I'm quite passionate about how good this track is, and just the little bits from my producer ears. I'll give you some of what I think really could have taken it to that next level. But I'll start off with instrumentation wise. Loved the guitars, so provided that really classic pop instant, a bit like that pluck you said earlier, Tom. From the Sia song. Is it Without You or no? What was the song again?
Titanium.
Titanium, yeah. What am I thinking? What's Without You? That's David Guetta, isn't it?
Yeah, it's David Guetta.
Yeah. Anyway, you get my idea. So you've got that really classic pop kind of guitar that comes in the verse, really complements the vocals very well. I've also paid particular attention, like you, to that kind of that synth in the chorus. Very subtle in the background. Was it an ARP, do you think, Tom? Or was it I couldn't quite make it out because it was really subtle, but it was providing such a backbone to the chorus instrumental. I couldn't quite make it out exactly what it was. I'm going to say it's an ARP. But because it wasn't immediately in your face, it was well mixed in that it just sat really blended well behind the drums, just giving that overall body to allow then, the drums and the vocal to build on top of.
Hey,
And
you said it spot on in the last song when you said it decorated the mix.
Yes, exactly. So like it adds, like if you were to take it away, I think like instantly the song would have changed. You know what I mean? It's like
definitely.
It's that
Yeah.
make or break element, but you don't get drawn to it like on its own. So it's just a real foundational part of the mix there. I love the drum pattern. So it's a really good like pop bop. It's that was very plosive of me, but yeah, it's really good work. It's. I just wish, this is where my first critique will come in. I just wish it was louder. So for me, like this genre just needs the drums hitting much harder, and I think by about 3-4 dB, I would have pushed the whole drum bus up on this track. It would have just added so much more like rhythmical weight. And again, I loved the way. See the bass line in this track, Tom? Oh, I was very much enjoying that. That was just so good. But again, I just became a wee bit frustrated because I was like, I just wanted it to be a bit thicker in the mix and to coexist, like just like the drums, like 3-4 dB up. So for me, because I listened to a lot of this music, that low end was just lacking a bit for me. And see, everything instrumentation wise was there. It was hitting it. The drums were great. The bass line was so good. I just wish it had that low end presence. And that's just my opinion there. The vocal performance, what a delivery. Really
Smashed it.
Strong vocal delivery with a massive reverb on that vocal. Like a massive reverb. Maybe a bit less would have been ideal for me just to bring her again forward, and it might have also helped kind of what you were feeling like she was just getting a
You're
wee
right.
bit lost in the mix.
I didn't even think of that. It could be the verb. Yeah, you're right.
It could. I just noticed it on her stops what a massive tail it was on that reverb. So again, that would have pushed her up front. But what an amazing vocal! And she was smashing out those vocal harmonies, like left, right, and centre, wasn't she? And that's something
and
that
the ad-libs.
you talk about all the time. And the ad-libs, exactly. Yeah! So ad-libs are just like, go for it, like snaps to you. Yeah. And I just really, really liked it. So overall for me, it had the full package. I just think from a mixing perspective, the sonic balance wasn't there for me, and some of the decisions were just not quite right to allow it to fully live up to the potential that I think it had. And that's why I was just a wee bit like, I want to compliment this so much, but also want to be a wee bit hard on it because I just think there's so much potential in there. And what's exciting to me is I think this is like one of our first tracks, I think. And she's already had some good success with it. And if this is the first music that she's making, hats off. Like, when the production improves, honestly, that will get some serious radio play because it has that likability straight away.
I think it could be played now, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I think it is. That's what I mean. I think people are already like taking to this, and this is the point I'll make as well. Is I'm obviously coming at this hard from a production sense, so I am being overly critical, and I did say that at the start. It's just because I'm really passionate about this genre of music. So forgive me. I'm not being negative at all. It's because I saw so much potential in this track. So it's a massive compliment for me. Otherwise, I would just say, yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean,
so why I'm passionate about it. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, that's why we do this side of things, right? We don't want to just sit here and say, love this, love this, love this. It's so important to take on board other opinions, and that's where collaboration comes in, because if you learn things from everyone you work with and you start building up repertoire and like all these little nicks and things that you learn from other producers and songwriters, I love it.
Yes, it's so good.
I know exactly what you mean. You just really appreciate the song, and you just one of those songs you wish you mixed.
Yes, exactly. I wish I mixed that track just to just to really get my teeth into it from a production sense. It was great. Really enjoyed it. So thank you for sending that in, and look forward to hearing some of your new stuff in the future.
Yeah, thanks so much, Aleya.
Thank you so much. Right, so on to the question submissions, Tom.
Question submissions. So this week,
Question.
we'll jump straight into our songwriting question. And this is one, I wanted to ask this as kind of like for a selfish reason, because lyrics aren't my strong point. I have to be in the mood to write a song. I have to be even more in a mood to write lyrics. Something that doesn't come naturally to me. Again, what we were just saying with collaboration, just so important, especially for this for me. So what we asked this week, songwriting, how do you write your lyrics? And we got some great answers.
For me, when it comes to writing music, or how I write my lyrics is I like to be in a space where I feel like I'm away from everything. I actually don't like writing on my laptop or anything, because I feel like there's a constant like distraction that's trying to get away, like whether it's social media or YouTube or music, like other music videos or a live concert. I just feel like for me, it's been I like just sitting in a room, I like to lock myself away most of the time with just a guitar, pen and paper, and just kind of go, okay, what am I trying to write? And just kind of reflect. That's what I do a lot with most of my writing. And it's just, for me, it just allows me to get really personal to myself and what I'm really feeling and what my emotions are and this and that. And that's really where I like to write at.
I can completely relate there, because most of my lyrics will come out when I'm like secluding myself away from everyone and not locking myself in a room, but yeah, I can totally relate there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way that I can do it as well. I have to be completely alone and just be left to my thoughts and have a direction. So great. I think that was Jordan Mode, Taylor Mode. Yeah. So thanks for that,
Taylor Mode.
Completely agree.
Completely agree. Next one up from Clinton.
So, first off, one of the most important things that I like to try and keep in mind when songwriting is not to force anything, not to try too hard. But aside from that, I mean, every song is different, and the way it is written, whether it's a Friday, Saturday night with a little bit of whiskey, just relaxing in my studio, trying to come up with something, or it's going in at it with a concept already in mind and just, strumming along, humming what you find that melody, and then building around that. But in the sense of standard and how I write, like I said, every song is different, and I just try to make it as simple but relatable as possible.
Love that. A little bit of cheeky whiskey.
Oh, mate. I mean, I couldn't agree more. And Clinton is the kind of dude I just want to hang out with and just sit down and be like, right, let's write a song.
Let's write
grab
a song.
The whiskey.
Let's bash one out.
I do want to send just thank you to Clinton. I wanted him to be on the show a couple of weeks ago, but unfortunately he had COVID. So luckily he's all better now, but I just wanted to say thank you, dude, for hanging in there and being part of this week's show. Super happy to have you, and
totally.
I would love to hang out one day. You sound like my kind of dude, so.
Tom will provide the whiskey.
Yeah, I will.
Right, next one up from Gail.
Hello, my name is Gail Borowitz. You had asked me about how I write lyrics. I've written since I was a child, grew up in a pretty bad home, and I've always written for therapy. And a lot of times I just think about what I want to say, and then I say it, and I whittle away at it, and I go over it and over it and over it again until I whittle out all the things that I don't want, and until I have it flowing and right and powerful and everything I want it to be. Thank you.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Thank you, Gail.
So she's like finessing her story until she just gets it to hit so right. And I think a lot of people relate to that. Yeah.
Using it as therapy
as well. Yeah, totally.
I mean, yeah, just write your problems down, turn it into a song. Love that. Thanks, Gail.
Thank you so much, Gail. That was fantastic. Next one from Aleya.
So I've been kind of writing on top of my production as I create. And as I produce, I just write lyrics on top of what I'm producing, which has been so much fun and is so much more liberating, I think, than creating a structured piano piece. And I just love doing it much more that way. So that's how I've been writing. So writing lyrics, there's usually one of two ways that I go about it. Number one is that I just have an emotion that I feel very strongly and I want to get it off my chest. And so when I'm writing, usually I'm a very visual person. The way I write is just very visual. I tend to visualize my emotions as some sort of painting or portrait, something that I can see in front of me in some way. So that's how I tend to describe I tend to describe any sort of situation as just changing it from being a kind of surface emotion to being something that's more tactile. So that's how I tend to, switch it around. I tend to make something that seems like a simple emotion into kind of a physical representation through visuals. So there's that. That's usually how I do number one. Number two is I rely on word ammo, which is I will find a word that I really like or like a phrase that I really like, and I will log them in my in my phone, and I just have lists and lists of just words and phrases and different feelings that I have logged away. And if I get writer's block, I kind of pick and choose, and I see what works, and I insert them, and I see if they rhyme, and I work from there. So that's basically the very long rundown of how I set up my stuff. I'm very sorry if it's not more professional.
That sounds professional to me.
Yes,
I mean, that's how you write a song. I mean, Aleya, first of all, has still got... We featured Aleya on the show a while ago now, and her song Pathetic is still one of my favourite songs we've listened to. And it's interesting that she said visual, because if you've seen the music video for her track Pathetic, it's very visual, and it's very artsy and very artistic. So I love that. And, I mean, I do the same thing with my notes on my phone. I know friends of mine carry journals of just song titles. And then one day the mood will strike and they'll look at one title and it'll trigger an emotion. And then they can sit down and write about it. So thank you for your very in-depth answer. Loved it.
Yeah, loved that. Fantastic. Really good insight. Thank you so much. Next one is from our very own Shayla, who already we featured on the show with her music earlier. So let's see what she's got to say.
Hi, this is Shayla McDaniel. I'm a singer-songwriter and multi-instrumentalist based in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm responding to your how do you write lyrics question on Instagram. Normally, well, really, I can't say normally. It's different every time. If I start the song from a phrase that I like, I usually write the melody for that phrase and then add the chords under it. But sometimes when I sit down to write, especially when I don't have the words for a specific emotion, I tend to write chords and then kind of make up stuff and sing over that and come up with lyrics. Other times, I write all the lyrics to a song like on paper and then try to put it to music after that. But my favorite is when all the lyrics and the music come out together at the same time. Also, I'm a huge fan of Pat Patterson's lyric worksheet, especially when I'm stuck. You brain dump on a topic, make a list, find a bunch of synonyms, and then find a bunch of rhyming words for it. I like it because it makes finding words easier.
That's interesting. I've never heard of that.
Me neither. I'm going to have to Google that.
Check that out.
Patterson's lyric worksheet. I'm going to, thank you, Shayla.
There we go. With
lovely little tip.
That's some knowledge. Drop some knowledge there, Shayla.
Drop the knowledge bomb.
Dropping knowledge. Love that. Yeah, cool. Thank you so much. Again, great insight. Great, we've had such a good variation of techniques there. From writing to production, to starting with chords, to having word notes or word ammo, I think she called it. You know, there's a range of techniques in here, and it's just so good to hear, I guess, a variation there. Because it just re-emphasises what me and Tom bang on every single week about, which is it's yours to make. So there's no right or wrong answer here, I don't think.
I mean, yeah, I would agree. It's great to hear other people's takes on it, and it's something that everyone's going to do differently. So what I take from that is just tips and techniques and stuff that I'll try and implement myself, and it'll either work for me or it won't. So that's what we should be taking away from that. So thank you for those answers, guys. That was amazing to hear from someone that struggles with lyrics. So Andy, your production question now, right?
Yeah, so my production question was something that I fundamentally have stuck by now for a wee while, which is my mixing template. So I was interested to see what other people's mixing template looks like, or if they use one full stop, which is maybe giving some of the answers away. So let's go to the first answer.
When it comes to mixing a song for me, I don't really have a go-to template that I really go to, because to me every song's different that I really kind of work on, whether it's my own stuff or with my band or production stuff. But I do save a lot of presets, especially when it comes to EQing and compressors and stuff like that, just because it's a good way to start, especially if you're doing a lot of rock music or a lot of pop music or whatever it is. At least the work you've done in the past at least can get you steered to the right direction. And then from there you can kind of tweak it to the individual song purposes and needs. But that's really where I kind of start. Is if I there's something that seems that I can use, this preset may work well here. It looks good. Let's start tweaking it type of deal. But that's really the only kind of template I really have. But everything else is kind of just catered and tailor made to the song that's.
That's cool. So for me, it's like I have my mixing template, but it's interesting because I don't do what Jordan said there, and have any kind of presets set up from my previous work, which is actually probably an oversight. I mostly rely on my, all my channels are organized, and I've got my drums group, I've got my bass group, I've got my mids group, I've got my leads group, my vocals, my backing vocals groups, and then they're all routed to, my instrument bus, my effects buses, side compression buses, and then my master bus. So that's really where I've done it. And I find that I have thought for a while about then making my mixing template have plugins already turned off but already loaded up in my channels. But the reason that I stopped doing that is because I feel like it forced me down a way that I might not have chosen to do, because I think subconsciously, if it was on my channel, I was like, oh, I have to use it. But really, if I have a compressor on a track, I might not have put that compressor on the track because it might not have needed compression. I don't know, that's just something that I've, came across through my mixing kind of journey, to try and not narrow my, I guess, field of vision, so.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I track and mix in 2 different sessions. So I'll track everything in one session, bounce all the stems out, load them into my mix template, and it's not a plugin template really. It's more like you said, just rooted all to how I like and how I know and feel comfortable. I know when I load it into this track, it's being sent here, bussed here, and that bus is going to this bus, and that takes a long time if you do that for every single session to get everything set up. So that's what I do. I track everything in one.
Everything.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for that, Jordan.
So I recently made the switch from using Logic to using Pro Tools. And when I was using Logic, I definitely didn't have a mix template. I was just mixing as I went along. Now that I have started using Pro Tools, I've taken a more sophisticated approach, I guess, to mixing. And I've started to try and develop a mix template. I'm still in the early stages of doing that. But I definitely have a drum bus, a vocal bus, and everything kind of broken down. separately, and I think it's a more efficient way to work. So yeah, I'm definitely in the early stages of that, but I can already see the benefits of breaking a mix down in that kind of way. So yeah, I also like the idea of not having a template for anything and kind of treating each session differently, because of course no two sessions are the same, so it's good to have a complete fresh take on each one. But it definitely can be beneficial if you know that you're going to use similar reverbs or similar side chains. It's definitely worth having those ready to go, just for working more efficiently.
Yeah, so like there's a fine balance, isn't there, between like efficiency and not restricting your mix. So that's why it's so interesting, this topic for me, because I feel like you've got to find a balance, because you can't be so flexible that you start from scratch every time, and you even, just load up Logic and click new project and have to route, 40 tracks up before you even start your mix. But then you can't just have everything already loaded up. You load in your stems and put all your plugins on and expect that to be mixed. So,
dude, I mean, for me, it's more of I get lazy real easily, and I lose any motivation I have real easily. So if I have to sit and route everything, I'm like, this is going to take me, half an hour. I can't even get onto music. I have to be like an IT tech for the next 30 minutes. So for me, it is just to try and keep that motivation, because I lose it so easily, and it's something that, I wish I could change about myself, but I can't. So I had to make my own ways around that, and that's why everything is set up. Again, I don't have any plugins on it, but everything has its own name, has its own color, has its own. So I've done used the same colors for years. I've used the same methods in terms of sending my drums here, sending my kick and snare, side chaining my kick and bass together. All it's set up. I don't need to touch it. I just drag it in. And that's just where it is. So again, it's fascinating, like you said, Andy, to hear how other people tackle this. And there is no wrong answer, which is what I love.
No, totally. And it will be so interesting as well. Like, I'm sure, like, from one Grammy award-winning producer to the other, there'll be completely different, like, templates that they'll use. So it's again, this kind of thing fascinates the hell out of me. So thank you so much. On to the next one.
Thank you.
Your podcast is a wonderful platform for people to learn. And listening through, I can see that you guys are doing a great job, which is why I think that I am an absolute awful candidate to answer this question. My sessions are an absolute embarrassment to humanity. I never bounce anything out. The current track that I'm working on, Ambient, has 200 tracks, and I don't reduce them to 40 or less type situation to mix. I literally mix the 200. So I am the worst. I'm just disorganized and cluttered. So anyway, I'm no help. I'm an anomaly. But I guess maybe some hope for those of you that are out there that are also insanely disorganized. If you spend enough time on it, you might get somewhere. But anyway, good luck, guys.
Good luck with your 200 tracks.
It proves that everyone does it differently.
Totally.
The thought of that gives me a headache.
Yeah, the thought of that scares the shit out of me.
I'm not, and here's the thing, I'm not talented enough to mix 200 tracks together.
No.
I couldn't do that. I struggle with
me neither.
30 maximum. Like, that is the absolute max. And that's with all the drums and all the different, two kick mics, two snare mics, a snare room mic. There's 14 mics just for the drum kit. So it's, fair play, man. Like, again,
fair play. Hats off to you.
It just proves that everyone has their different methods and it works for them. And that's why I love talking about this.
And there's maybe some like beauty in the chaos of him mixing 200 tracks, because it's, we've had Red Green on the podcast and he had an amazing track that we played, I don't know, a good couple of episodes back now, wasn't it, Tom? And and that was well produced. So he knows his stuff, this guy. So it's just, there must be some beauty in the mixing, production chaos that must ensue from 200 tracks in a unorganized fashion. But brilliant. It still works.
Yeah, absolutely does. Yeah, what a fun question. What a fun episode,
So
right?
good. Yeah, totally. And we've got one more. We've got another spin on the same kind of feeling from Aleya.
I wish I could answer the producer question. I usually send my mixes to a mixing engineer. Once it's done, once the production is done, I'll send it to a mixing engineer because I am garbage at mixing, and I don't know how to do it yet very well, and I'm working on it. But for now, it goes to a mixing engineer. And in terms of any sort of template that I use while I'm in the production mode, I wish I had a professional answer. I wish that I had a real template that I could be like, this, and this. But honestly, it's all kind of there's no rhyme or reason to how I start producing a song, how I create the setup. It usually starts with one instrument, and then from there it just spirals. Yeah, I wish I had a good answer for that question.
That is a good answer.
That is a good answer.
Emphasizes the kind of flexibility that the creative element needs, So, again, no right or wrong answers, Aleya.
No right or wrong. And thank you. I mean,
yeah.
Again, it's just nice to hear someone else's feedback on a question like that.
And someone else's voice on
Exactly.
the podcast, other than me
sick
and
of this
Tom all the
guy's
time.
voice. Sick of it.
Sick of it. So that rhymes up. Is that the right term or phrase?
That rhymes up is not the correct term
it's
that you're
not
looking
the
for.
correct wording, which tells me it's time to
Round
close this
things up.
podcast. Round things up. That's that. Over to you, Tom. Over to you to close the episode.
I think Andy needs to lie down. But yeah, I mean, thank you so much, guys. The music we've listened to is fantastic. I think, some of the best thoughts we've had on the show regarding the questions. So Thank you again from Andy and myself. So do you want to say next week's question, or should I go first?
You go first, because I've actually not thought of mine, so I'm just about to go on.
Okay, so he's making it up as he goes. So I'm taking the production question for this week. And this week, since a lot of you probably know by now, I'm a drummer. Drum production is something that it just sticks out to me straight away. So my question is, how do you make your drums pop in the mix?
Ooh,
so
specific, like it.
It's not how do you mix your drums. What techniques or tips have you found to maybe bring them forward and emphasize something? So how do you make your drums pop in the mix? Andy, hopefully you have a question.
That's exciting. Yes. So, with songwriting, I'm very conscious that there's the usual typical structure of a song. So we all know the structure: verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. But I want to know, guys, what song structures best work for you and why? So do you use that structure, and if so, why? But if you have a different structure, or if you have a different technique when writing a song, a different way that you build the structure of your song, I'd love to know why. And I'd especially love to know why if it's not that typical structure, because I use that structure quite a lot. I haven't always, but there's something that keeps on drawing me towards it, and I think there's a fundamental reason why it's so popular. But I would love to hear some other opinions. So yeah, what song structures work best for you?
Cool. Great question.
Thanks, man.
I'm excited to hear your answers to both of the questions. And all we can say is we hope you have a fantastic week. Hope you love the songs. Please check out the artists that we've featured. We'll leave links to their music in the description. Show them some love in the comments. Like and follow them on their social medias. You can find us on social media at Songwriters Lounge. And we will see you this time next week.
Totally. And please, guys, if you are enjoying the show, tell your songwriting friends about it, because hopefully they will enjoy the show just as much and they can get involved and send us their DMs and their music, and we can grow this family. So, yeah, thank you so much, guys, and we'll check you out next week.
See you next week, guys. Take it easy now.